if policy is the blueprint, as we've just heard, to extend that metaphor, then immigration is obviously the gateway. Our next speaker manages relationships with South Africa's largest corporate clients at Home Affairs and helps them navigate the often complex world of visas, permits and compliance. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our second speaker, Phindiwe Mbhele, with an update on the latest developments from the Department of Home Affairs.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, Program Director. Greetings once again to the CEO of BUSA, the members from the Chambers of Commerce represented this morning, the ambassadors and excellencies that are here, the different corporates that are represented this morning, and in addition, thanks to the MD of ExpertWeb, Marisa, for the invitation. It's always our pleasure to come to these forums to come and share the latest developments that are taking place at Home Affairs. And also, congratulations once again. Marisa is a member of our Immigration Advisory Board, representing organized business nominated by NETLEC. So she'll also be giving us insights in terms of what the requirements and the needs of businesses are in as far as the drafting of immigration policy is concerned. You know, as I was listening to the CEO, I really want to agree with him with regards to some of the challenges that we have experienced over the years with regards to our policy, and especially to what he referred to as he mentioned it, the swear word, that there were certain things that in government that you couldn't even dream of introducing or even suggesting. He just reminded me as he was talking about, you know, the work that we do at Home Affairs. We used to be a very manual-orientated department. Myself, in the role that I am, I get to sign something like 100 files on a daily basis. And I think by the time I get to the 50th file, my signature starts to change. It doesn't look the same as the first one that I started with. And to address that challenge, I then went and created a personalized stamp, one that has my signature that I can use after I've read the documents. Instead of me signing the whole time, then I can just stamp my documents. And as the files went through the different processes, at some point, the files got returned back to me to say, you need to sign them by hand. Your stamp is not accepted. So, you know, it is quite an interesting time now that we are able to introduce digitization, we are able to introduce technology in our processes, which we hope that will make our work much more easier. Before I start, let me also render an apology for our Director General. I know that he was invited. He was supposed to be here this morning, but I got informed last night that himself and our Minister, Dr. Leon Schreiber, this morning will be announcing Standard Bank as one of the banks that have elected to assist the department in the new digital partnership where you can apply for your smart cards and passports at Standard Bank. So they are announcing that partnership this morning, which is going to be expanding our current bank branches from 30 to more than 100 in both urban and rural areas across South Africa. So That is the announcement that they are making this morning. I normally speak off the cuff, but I thought I should prepare something to read, Marisa. So please bear with me, and also pardon me if I sound a little bit nasally. I've just recovered from flu, but I thought I need to come here so that, like Jeremy, I do not miss this program. You know, you have been there since the beginning, and I always make sure that I'm also here as well. So,
just say, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our green number.
Yes. Exactly. So, colleagues, over the years, the South African government has made numerous attempts to digitize service delivery, but these efforts have often lacked coordination, with many digitization initiatives being driven independently within departments. In many cases, this has led to duplication, inefficiencies, and missed opportunities to seamlessly delivering high quality to people and organizations. When we talk about duplication, I'm not sure how many of you know that the smart card that we have, the ID smart card that we have from the Department of Home Affairs, actually has a wallet inside of it that could carry a lot of government services that we currently get from other different governments. So if there was coordination, you could actually get your driver's license into the wallet, into your smart card. Any other government services that could be digitalized could actually be put into a smart card, so that instead of you carrying a wallet this big, you only have one card that you can show to the traffic officer. You have one card that you can use in the bank. You have one card that you can use to, to access social services. But the inefficiencies, the duplication, the working in silos of the departments results in us having so many cards that could actually be put into one wallet that we can use. So we are led to announce also that, Cabinet has approved what we call South Africa's roadmap for the digital transformation of government, where an instruction has been given to all government departments to introduce technology in their processes. Just this weekend, I was speaking to a traffic officer who told me that they are currently undergoing training where they will now be using devices to issue speeding tickets. So they are getting rid of these books that they are using when they stop you, and then they have to fill in the books and so forth. So they will now be using devices where they will capture whatever offense that you have committed, and then you will get the ticket immediately sent to you. And obviously, with the introduction of technology, there will always be some groups who benefit, from the inefficiencies, who would want to oppose the introduction of technology. I remember some years back when we introduced the smart card, we actually had a march, Jeremy, against the Department of Home Affairs by those people who were selling, those bags where you put in your green ID book. And they were arguing that, we are taking them out of business. But now government cannot stay inefficient and, be on the back foot, because there are certain sectors of society that would not want to see us moving forward. Already you can imagine if you have a business that produces those books to write speeding tickets, that you'll actually be out of business very soon unless you innovate and do something else. So that is the unfortunate reality that comes with technology, but also technology introduces efficiencies. Talking about travel, I remember that last year when I went to China, my mind was, I was mind blown when I saw the Chinese people paying for their services using their faces. A year later, now I think it was in July, when I went back to China again, I found them paying with their palms. They get whatever that they are, that they are buying, and then they put their palm against the device, and then it pays. No card, no nothing, no e-wallet, nothing at all. So while we are still struggling with, deciding whether we are scanning documents and trying to save them and digitalizing them, other countries are already far ahead of us. And the reality also is that technology does not only affect certain sectors. As the colleague from Busa also mentioned, the movement of people and the movement of goods is also affected by the, the new technologies that are coming in. When I was traveling with my colleague, he had to go and check in his bag. But I went to, there was a small robot that I had to put my boarding pass on, and then after it had accepted it, it just told me to load in my bag without any person assisting me, and then my bag went through. So that is some of the things that we are seeing that are making mobility much more easier, and I think it will also deal, CEO, with the issue of the bad attitude and temper that we get, or the threatening behavior that we get from immigration officials whenever you have to interact with them. That is why most countries are also introducing what is called e-gates, where when you land, you do not have to interact with any person. The gate recognizes your face and so forth, and then you just move through, and your movement is recorded as someone that has arrived. Now, with the South Africa's roadmap for digital transformation of government, we as the Department of Home Affairs are required to introduce what we call functional digital identity for people to securely and remotely access services. You might have heard the Minister of Home Affairs talking about Home Affairs at home. We are looking at dealing with an issue that plagues Home Affairs and has been there for quite many years, the issue of queues. Wherever you go at any Home Affairs, even if you do not know that this is a Home Affairs office, you do not see the signage. If you just see a line and a queue of people, you know that this must be Home Affairs or some government office. So we are looking at introducing our services online, so that those who want to apply for a smart card, I always give people the side eye whenever I board into an airplane and I see them taking out a green ID book, and I'm thinking, where are you from? So we are really on a drive to get rid of the ID book. The ID book has really lost its security. You know that it is paper based. Photos can be swapped on an ID book and so forth, but the same cannot be done on a smart card. So as part of our digital transformation, that is what we are planning to do. As we expand the service centers or service delivery centers, we are also including the banks, as I've already mentioned. But you would have also seen in the media yesterday that Capitec as well has launched a new partnership to enable South Africans to apply for their smart cards via Capitec branches and on Capitec mobile application at a later stage. So Capitec is even taking it a little bit further. You will be able to apply for your smart card using your phone. You would know that normally for those that have a Capitec, you usually have to do your facial recognition, verification, and so forth. Capitec already has access to the verification system of Home Affairs. When you walk into a Capitec bank and you give your fingerprint or your biometric, Capitec reads against the National Population Register of Home Affairs, which we call the NPR, and confirms that you are a South African. You can, in fact, open a bank account at Capitec without filling any form. And, that is where the future is moving. And with Capitec, Capitec is going to roll out 10 bank branches where services can be accessed, and they are aiming to bring 100 branches as well online later in 2026 and 300 branches thereafter, just at Capitec alone. And this will double the number of locations where South Africans can obtain these vital documents. On the issue of the critical skills, the critical skills list, Jeremy, is based on the research that is done by the Department of Higher Education and Training, where they would get inputs from organized labor, organized business. They would go to the universities and actually look at what is it that the universities are giving out as an output in terms of graduates and so forth. And then we'll then make a determination that for a particular occupation, are we likely to have a shortage maybe in the near future, and how can we address that? And based on that research, they will then draft what we call the critical skills list, which will then inform us which occupations are likely to be in shortage. Now, for many years, our critical skills, as you would know, has always been skewed more towards the qualifications. But if you read what the legislation says, it says that the Department of Home Affairs may give a critical skills work visa to an individual who possesses critical skills or qualifications. Now, the challenge that we have is that it's much more easier to measure qualifications. If you have an NQF level 7, you have an NQF level 7. But how do you measure skill? If a person says that I am skilled, is there a measurement to it? You know, we've had in the past a visa that we used to call extraordinary skills, and we actually had to remove it from our legislation because we do not have a method that measures extraordinary skills, except in very, very extraordinary circumstances. For instance, if you take the lady that recently won the Canadian Open final for tennis, Victoria Mboko. She's a daughter of foreign nationals that moved to Canada about 30 years ago. And she recently now won the WTA final and beat Naomi Osaka. And you know, whenever we look at such examples, we see how foreign nationals who are critically skilled may also be able to elevate, you know, the importance of a country that they've settled in. And as we work through our critical skills list, we are working through methods of how do we identify, how do we determine that people are highly skilled. Even though the discussions around the world right now is what you know, the researchers are calling the marketization of citizenship. There is something called Olympic citizenship, where athletes who are good performers and best performers are attracted by other countries who do not have that athletic ability. I'm sure most of you, if you look at the national squad of France, you would think that is a team from Africa. Because you have a lot of Africans who are highly skilled, who have been given citizenship by France in order to represent France in the FIFA World Cup. So there's discussions whether is this good practice, where you would find that countries who are not able to perform well in certain type of skills, they what we call they even refer to them as athletic mercenaries. You are being hired to come and represent this country, but can you with confidence be able to lift up the flag of that country and say, I would die because I was born in this country? Or is it just a financial transaction that you get to have the citizenship? I'm sure you would remember some many years ago, you also had an African national who rescued a child from a burning building in France. And because of that heroic action, they were granted citizenship immediately. So, you know, it's the type of the world that we are living in when it comes to immigration, that immigration is not static. You know, it flows and it moves in different ways. And as we look into the critical skills, those are some of the things that we'll be looking into to say, what is it that South Africa is looking for in terms of the critical skills? Our numbers already show us that for critical skills, that is the lowest number Marisa, of visas that we issue in South Africa. By the way, the highest number that South Africa issues for visas are visas for spouses and dependents. And those are visas that we normally say they are outside of the economic sector. It's visas that are issued because I'm in a relationship with a South African, or I'm married to a South African, and so forth. We even, in fact, when we look at the numbers, we even issue more study visas than we do critical skills visas, which means that we are not able to attract what we call the brightest people in terms of our own critical skills list. And another important thing, to note is that, by the way, we are not the first country to introduce the critical skills list. Canada, in as far back as 1967, introduced the critical skills list, where they were targeting certain occupations that they believed that will help their country to develop. Now, in addition to the critical skills list, we recently, last year in October 2024, we introduced something that is called the PBS, which is the points-based system, where we allocate points in line with certain factors for us to be able to issue a visa. Just to mention those factors, it would be the qualifications. The more or the highly qualified you are, you would get 50 points. Between NQF 7 and 8, you will get 30 points. And if you earn above a certain threshold, for instance, if you earn 976K per year, you would get 50 points, and then between 976 and 650K, you would get 20 points. And then the more experience you have, working experience, obviously then you will score more points, because we believe that a person that is highly experienced is the one that is in the best position to transfer whatever skills that they would have acquired over the years. In one of the companies that I recently visited, I think it's a company that works with PRASA, that has to deal with the railway lines and so forth. I met a gentleman there, a white gentleman, who had to be recalled to come and assist, because he knows the railway lines off by heart. And when I looked at his hand, he had, like, a knoppy on his hand, Marisa, because he works with a mouse, and he used to control the trains, to open the railway lines, red, green, robot, and whatever, from his office, wherever he was sitting, alone by himself. And in trying to map all this to be done digitally and so forth, no one could do it. And they had to bring the gentleman in to come. So sometimes we have to acknowledge that experience cannot be equated to a qualification. Someone that qualifies today as an engineer cannot be sent to go and build a bridge tomorrow. That's the reality of it. So the building up of skills takes time. It is very much important that as we draft our critical skills and we look at things like points-based systems and so forth, we take into account these realities, that will assist us in attracting the talents that we want. We are also working on introducing what we call preferential visa schemes. You would have heard about the first one that we introduced a year ago. It was the Trusted Employer Scheme, for which we are now going to be going to the second round of the Trusted Employer Scheme. What we are now going to be doing with the Trusted Employer Scheme is that when we issue what we call the expressions of interest for companies to apply to belong to the scheme, that process will be completely online. So you'll submit your expressions of interest online. The adjudication and the assessment of the expression of interest will also be done online, after which you will then, a company will receive the outcome as well online. But in addition to that, one thing that we have also experienced is that after granting these companies Trusted Employer Scheme membership, When they go and submit an application in Mexico, they get a different treatment from when they submit in Berlin or in other countries. So there's no consistency in the manner in which applications are being processed. Now we are also introducing in that platform itself an online adjudication system where if you are a trusted employer and you want to recruit someone from the Philippines, that application will not be submitted in the Philippines. It will be submitted on the platform and it will actually be processed here in South Africa by a team of adjudicators that we have. And the outcome will be sent to the applicant digitally. And the reason why we are able to do this is thanks to the collaboration also that we are having with BUSA. We have a team of graduates that we have obtained through the collaboration that we have with BUSA. They are being managed by Deloitte. It's a team of adjudicators they sit at the Deloitte offices where they are able to process applications for us online. And they are the ones that will be working on this TES. But also in addition to that, they have been quite successful in processing applications for what we call the TTOS, the Trusted Tour Operator Scheme. Trusted Tour Operator Scheme, CEO, is also one intervention where we have made it easier for tourists, especially from China and India, as the two identified markets that are likely to increase our tourism numbers. We have registered tour operators from China and India. Those tour operators, what they do is that they now have login details onto the platform of the TTOS, where they are able to submit visa applications directly on behalf of the tourist. And when we adjudicate the application, we then issue the digital visa to the tour operator, who will then be able to facilitate the travel of those tourists. We started in February this year, and by last week we were sitting at around 25,000 digital visas that we have issued, which is an equivalent of 25,000 tourists that we have actually facilitated. Just looking at the numbers, Operation Vulindlela, in one of their reports, confirmed that one new formal sector job is created for every 13 tourists who visit the country. Now, looking at the 25,000 that we have processed, this suggests that TTOS has already created 1,924 jobs in the tourism sector, despite obviously the negative numbers that we had recently from Stats SA that unemployment has increased. But in certain sectors, through efforts such as this of the TTOS, we are really working towards increasing the employment numbers. We also then going to be introducing two other schemes. The first one is called Stages. You would have heard the Minister of Home Affairs mentioning it in Parliament. As you would know, government is very much in love with acronyms. So Stages means Screen, Talent, and Global Entertainment Scheme. Screen, Talent, and Global Entertainment Scheme, Stages. It's a scheme that we are introducing for film production companies who want to come and do film shoots in South Africa, those in the entertainment industries, especially for big numbers. You have large crews of filmmakers that would want to come to South Africa. We do know of one film that had to move to Mexico and do a shoot there because they were struggling to get a visa. And as a result, we lost out of that opportunity to have created jobs. As you would know, for films industry, just to shoot one scene, you don't do it once. An advert that takes 5 minutes on the screen is usually done over a number of days, sometimes 3 days. And during that period, there's catering, there's drivers that drive the actors, to and from their places of accommodation. There are jobs that are created through even just an advert for 5 minutes, that is shot in South Africa. We going to be introducing stages now in September. We are just working on creating the platform to allow those companies to be able to apply. The next one linked to this is what we call MEETS, MEETS, which is meetings, events, exhibitions, and tourism scheme. South Africa has a number of good places that can host big symposiums and big meetings, which we are currently underutilizing. And we have introduced this as well to encourage big event organizers to host their events in South Africa. And one of the issues that the organizers have always raised, I was at the Africa Travel Indaba in Durban, where you would find that there's an exhibition stand of a particular country, but it is empty because the people that are supposed to be manning that could not get a visa. So they would have sent all their equipment and everything to come and set up the stand. But at the time that they are supposed to get a visa, they are refused to get a visa, and which then becomes a lost opportunity, but then also it becomes a loss to that company for being unable to send their people through. So what we are doing with this is that the companies themselves or the big event organizers will then be able to apply for access to this particular scheme. And we are also, when we look at big events, we are not only looking at companies, but we are also looking at individual events. When we went to India, we were told that in that week that we were there were more than 40,000 weddings going on. And Indian weddings are big. They are big. And in India, they now have something called, well, not now, they've always had it, they have something that they call destination wedding, where they would say, we grew up in India, we know the place, we would like to get married somewhere else, outside of the country. And even the guests and everyone would actually travel to that particular country to come and, to go and have a wedding there. They are inspired by Bollywood type of weddings, where the weddings are usually lavish, very, very, very expensive. The people that travel India is very family orientated. They travel in big numbers, just from maybe the groom side or the bride side, that is enough to fill an airplane. Already there's income and economic income that we can get from those type of events. So we are also looking into that. And as a proof of concept, we will be testing this MEETS we are currently in discussion with the colleagues from SA20 Cricket. We are told that they've informed us that they'll be hosting the SA20 League, which is a tournament that is taking place annually. It will be in December, January, and February. So we have said that we'll use them as a proof of concept to test this MEETS platform, whether we'll be able to accommodate those numbers. And depending on the success of this, this will actually be in preparation for our Cricket World Cup, which we are hosting in 2027. So we are introducing these measures really to take advantage of the mobility of people that is happening out there. And maybe in closure as well, colleagues, is that with regards to TTOS, as I was speaking about the second round of TTOS, we'll soon be issuing an invitation for companies to apply to be included on the TES. And we've also made a request to companies and also the chambers of commerce that would want to sponsor graduates as part of this program that will be working on these initiatives to assist in adjudication of these visas. I think that is where my presentation ends, Marisa and Program Director. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phindiwe. Thank you very much indeed.